Lots to share with you in the business report today. In recognition of the end of an era, as the Economic Programme Oversight Committee EPOC, established in 2013 to monitor the implementation of Jamaica's economic reform measures under its agreement with the International Monetary Fund, officially concluded its 11-year mandate on December 13, 2024. Keith Duncan, chairman of the committee, recognized Jamaica's progress towards economic stability that have coincided with the EPOC's tenure, while acknowledging all of those who have contributed to the successes of the committee.
It's been quite a journey. In Jamaica, we can now boast the independent central bank, an independent fiscal commission that will come on board in January. Later on today, we'll be having a conversation around that with the new fiscal commissioner, the incoming fiscal commissioner, Mr. Courtney Williams, and with Minister Fayval Williams. I'd like to also acknowledge Dr. Nigel Clark, who I worked with, who asked me to chair EPOC in 2016, and who I worked very closely with, and he has been very deliberate about setting up the institutional architecture so that EPOC can come to a close with the independent central bank, the independent fiscal commission, and I am very grateful to the work that he has done as Minister of Finance over the period and setting up infrastructure, the architecture for Jamaica for generations to come to protect the macroeconomic stability of our beautiful country as we go forward.
Dr. Clark's successor as Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Fayval Williams, remarked on the significance of the occasion.
I am sure that you will agree with me that today represents yet another chapter in our economic history as we continue on the path of entrenching fiscal responsibility and sustainability in the Jamaican economy. Importantly, EPOC was a critical mechanism in gaining social consensus and getting the buy-in of the Jamaican people around the reform measures. EPOC performed this task so magnificently that when our precautionary standby arrangement with the IMF was concluded in 2019, EPOC continued to monitor the progress of our now wholly domesticated economic reform program. Thank you to the members of EPOC for your service.
It's one that has made more Jamaicans interested and aware that the country's debt burden has fallen significantly in that time, from a high of 140% of GDP to 68% today, with expectations for it to be lowered to 60% by fiscal year 26-27, by which time the new era of the Independent Fiscal Commission should already be well established.
The Fiscal Commission will come into effect on January 1, 2025, and will be led by Mr. Courtney Williams, to my left, my immediate left, in his capacity as Fiscal Commissioner. So the mandate of the Fiscal Commission incorporates some of the current functions of the Auditor General, including indicating whether the conventions and assumptions underlying the preparation of the fiscal policy paper comply with the principles of prudent fiscal management. It will also look to determine whether the explanations given by the government for deviations from planned outcomes are reasonable. 5
distinguished individuals have been called to serve on the Fiscal Advisory Committee, including CEO of JMMB Group Keith Duncan, Nancy Pinchas, Executive Director of the Council for Voluntary Social Services, Dr. Patrice Whiteley, Head of the Department of Economics UWI, Kareem Tomlinson, Managing Director of GK Capital Management, and Helene Davis White, former President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions.
With this transition, we are demonstrating our commitment to further institutionalizing the tenets of fiscal responsibility as we continue to adhere to and abide by the principles of sound public financial management.
And that was your business report. I'm Joel Crosskill.